and gentlemen, first of all, thank you for the kind invitation. Thank you, Luisa, organizing the whole event. And after the introduction of Balázs, I would like to give you a short overview what is exactly our role in this huge project that we are doing since almost 8 years, as far as I know. I am coming from the Technical University of Budapest, or Budapest University of Technology and Economics. My department changed the name and a little bit the focus a few years ago, and the name of our department is currently Department of Explorative Architecture. It has a very sophisticated meaning because the new, let's say, the new shape, the new image of the department based on a very intensive fieldwork abroad in many countries and in many fields. You will see soon some of a selection from these activities. Before I will start with the Syrian project, I just want to give you a very short overview what we are doing. For example, this large-scale project in Egypt dealing with a very famous Egyptian architect from the 20th century. We started 8 years ago exactly with the survey of a very fragile vernacular architecture built mainly from the 40s of the previous century until the 80s of the same one. The other important project, which was financed by the Hungary Helps, the participation of our team on a rehabilitation project and a large-scale survey project in Mexico. There was a heavy earthquake damage in 2017, and we organized 6 missions. Different missions had different goals. Once we were there with students and young architects, and we surveyed many monasteries and many damages, and finally we participated on the planning process of one chosen monastery from the 16th century. And the scale you can see on this picture. One of our colleagues is standing on a broken retaining pillar, and it was really surprising for us, and it was a very good exercise how to deal with large-scale size, what to do, what kind of equipment do we have. As far as I know, the longest Hungarian presence in a foreign country is the project of the Eötvös Loránd University. This project started exactly 40 years ago. In these days, we have the 40th anniversary. Professor László Kákosi started with an excavation in Thebes, in Luxor, West Bank, Egypt, and now we are working on this project as well. You can see here the site with a 3D reconstruction. It's unfortunately not the reality, and as I wrote on the previous slide, it is a very special rescue project because this landscape was used for 4,000 years long and 4 millennia long, and everything is broken into many pieces, and even the architecture of this beautiful mortuary landscape, and that is what we are recollecting here. And finally, one more example from Romania. Since 10 years, we have a very intensive collaboration with 10 European universities working on a very beautiful land in a Hungarian village where we have a Roman heritage and a vernacular heritage, but all of it is very fragile, and that is our main subject here, to document everything before it can be lost. And the Margat Castle, Syria, where we started after the invitation of Balázs. It was a very kind invitation, you can imagine, during the war, 2015, in the first days of the Russian investigations. We were invited to Tartus to a conference, and we were chosen by the authorities that let's come back, don't be afraid, and let's start again with the work. And we joined the Syro-Hungarian mission as a technical university staff, and we started to help in the survey. and I just wanted to show one picture from Margat. It was done this June when we visited the castle with Balázs together to see the earthquake damages, and this is really just a small, tiny detail. The problem is really very huge there, and we should pay again big attention to the castle. Unfortunately or fortunately, it wasn't affected by the war, but now the earthquake did his job, and it is really an unfortune of the castle. And let's come to the main topic, to the Crac de Chevalier. What we are doing there. The scale you can feel here. There is a car, a small car. It is not a European scale, let's say, and it was a huge building. And in the very beginning, we confronted some very special subjects, the time pressure, because it is not possible to stay there for many months. We are not living from this project. We are all volunteers, let's say, and you know, during a war, it's not a comfortable situation. There are a lot of disturbing acts. The electricity is limited, maybe a few hours per day, and the whole stuff, moving everything to Syria and bringing back everyone, of course. It is really a big debate, and Balázs is really a great organizer that everyone survived until now, these projects, and even the staff, and it is really you cannot imagine how many difficulties we have. And beside the scale, beside the large scale of the object, we confronted also other subjects beside the huge dimensions, the very strange geometry. Those are not archaeological finds, not just the walls. It's easy to reconstruct from archaeological finds anything, but if we have the whole thing, the ramparts, 20, 30, 40 meter high, and also the very interesting geometry, it was really a big task how to survey it, how to create ordinary plans, and we were needed plans because the damages, as you can see on these pictures, this one is done, as far as I know, by Hazem Hanna, the chief engineer of the castle, a few days after the battle. And we started to get acquainted with the circumstances. We started to collect the finds. We started to know at that time the different softwares, the Metashape software, how to digitize, how to take pictures enough to get later on an accurate 3D model. The students started to collect and reconnect the broken fragments, the stone fragments. And that was, on one hand, a very interesting task, but on the other hand, a very sad moment, and how it happened, and how can we help? That was the main question in the next seasons. And that time, the UNESCO ordered from the Syrian authorities a so-called damage assessment report, and without any experience on this field, we started to collect all the bulletproofs. We categorized different calibers, but it hasn't any meaning. We gave it up, and later on in the next season, we just collected the most damaged part of the castle, and we have chosen so-called hotspots, the most damaged parts of the whole construction. And later on, if we were asked by the Hungary Helps and the Hungarian government, okay, what to do on the site, which are the most endangered parts, and we chose 4 parts of the castle. One was the first was the chapel, which had a little damage on the roof and a badly damaged corner. And the so-called Ottoman residence, it was needed as a storage for the staff. By Balázs mentioned Mamluk Tower and the very interesting stables facade. And as we recognize that we need plans, we have been searching, of course, in the previous documentations and the publications what we have. we had, of course, a lot of plans because the two German missions finished their work just a few years before our arrival, but there were the documentation from a scientific point of view, it was okay, more than enough, but for us, for rebuilding the missing parts of the castle, it wasn't fit, and that's why we decided that we have to start with a let's say a scientific project. We have to resurvey everything. We have to create a brand new documentation dealing with every accurate details, not just for our current building activity, also for the future. Finally, to have a very accurate model from the castle, because anytime could happen anything. We are in the Middle East, and this February happened something. Came the earthquake, and again there are bad damages. And if we don't had an accurate documentation, we could not have managed now the new reconstructions of the castle. And of course, there is no miracle in this field. Believe me, everyone has to mix different methods. We measured everything by hand. That is one thing. We can get very accurate data. Of course, our students and mainly the Pázmány team has been used drones with the permission of the Russian commanders and the Syrian authorities, because we were under war. It was wartime, and airstrikes were done around us, and it wasn't a funny situation. And during the nights when our batteries were loaded up, every computer was running, seeing the 3D model, seeing our temporary results. And finally, until now, we documented the 95% of the castle. It's almost done, and we were able to start a few years ago with the physical reconstruction. The first object was the chapel, and in the case of the chapel, we were very accurate with the 3D documentation. That was one thing, but the other thing, we also created very accurate plans, ground plans, sections, as it common in this field. And after that, we started to calculate the stones. In the beginning, we don't have time to make CAD drawings and ordinary stone inventory. What is missing? We just made some sketches, but accurate sketches. How to cut the stones? What kind of dimensions do we need? And the work started immediately. Our dearest colleagues in the castle and from the DGAM coordinated the work, and it was really very surprising and touching for us that after our arrival in Hungary, just a few weeks after, we got these pictures, and really a few weeks after the first investigation, this damaged corner of the chapel was done. And in the last year, the new doors and new windows were also built in the chapel, because it was the physical closing of the space was needed because of the restoration of the frescoes. Balázs presented them a few minutes ago. The Ottoman residence, it wasn't, let's say, a big debate from this point of view, because it wasn't damaged badly. A new isolation on the roof and kind of refurbishment and cleaning and some little masonry work was done on this residence. It is very important because previously, until the beginning of the 20th century, the whole castle was built with this kind of buildings. The Ottomans used it as a garrison for the military, but Paul Deschamps, the famous French Egyptologist, archaeologist, removed most of these buildings. This is one of the last survivors from this period, and this is also part of the World Heritage Monument, and those are the spaces before they were used for administration and storage purposes. One of our main investigation is the so-called Baybars Tower. It is one of the jewel of the Mamluk architecture. It has nothing to do with the Christian architecture or Crusader architecture, but part of the whole assemblage, which is World Heritage. And as Balázs also mentioned, that this facade of the facade and the cupola, the octagonal vaulted space was damaged during the battle. And we started to think about it, how to do it, what to do, because this is a bigger intervention. This is a whole facade. How should we talk about it with the UNESCO, with the ICOMOS? The first serious problems came up due to this progress, and of course we studied the old photographs, how it was before the Second World War, and we discovered on this picture that this part of the facade, which was totally collapsed during the war, it was not there in the late 20s or 30s. Someone did it in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, and but this kind of reconstruction, it is not a real reconstruction, because that part of the tower was damaged maybe in the 18th or 19th century. No one knows. There is no data for that. And as we studied the previous photos and the post-battle state, we discovered that this let's say newly inserted stones were mainly exploded from the wall, because that was not really strong enough, let's say. And that's why we started to be more brave. Okay, we can suggest something new maybe, not because I am a contemporary architect, because we don't have anything from the past. And we started with the documentation. You can see here this beautiful space. It's really very unique with its octagonal character. We surveyed the circumstances, all the possible sections and facades were done, and the reconstruction work started. We changed all the heavily damaged stones. Those are brand new stones from almost the similar material, and this is the facade done. Don't be afraid. The color will be changed. The oxidation is coming now. It is looks much other, and we have been used a new pattern, much smaller stones, which were used by the Ottomans. You can see here a small pattern here, or it is also a little bit different from the stones which were used by the French archaeologists in the 30s and in the 40s. 1 year after the roof isolation was also completed, and now the project is, let's say, finished. And finally, and sorry, I need maybe just 1 minute. The stable was a very special project. The stables, which was this huge building, was erected in the Crusader times. You can see here the scale of the facade. It is an almost 80-meter long space. It's a very huge one. It is covered with a very thin, so one coarse stone vault. Is also missing here, and you can see the facade after cutting off the vegetation. And here are the plans. After a very accurate 3D documentation, we discovered that the walls are deformed because this part of the stone cladding is missing. We don't know when, maybe a couple of centuries before. And we suggested to reconstruct the wall face. The awareness of the ICOMOS and UNESCO grew up, and we had consultations, we submitted plans, and finally the proposal was accepted. And our colleagues from the castle, Hazem Hanna and Edmond Alegi is also here with us. They coordinated the work, and couple of weeks ago, this huge investigation is also finished. It has nothing to do with the war. It is a long-term project, a long-term preservation project, let's say, because the thing was really endangered, and that is also a experience for us. We cannot be blind if we are working in the Middle East. I am saying it always to my students. If you go to the Middle East, every single picture is part of the history. Because if you look back, maybe the thing is not there anymore, and that is very important. And just very shortly, the results, the damage assessment report, what we submitted for the UNESCO, the complete damage survey, the new codification system, because the whole castle is resurveyed, as I mentioned in the beginning, and the consolidated projects. Colleagues from the Pázmány University reorganized all the stone fragments. Hundreds of stone fragments are now in storages. And if I may say something like that, it sounds maybe very brave, but I think this is the best documented castle in the Middle East and maybe in the world, because really every single stone joints are now measured and documented, and more than 3,000 sections are done in the castle, because it is huge, and we are really very proud that we were part of this beautiful mission. Thank you for your attention.